Hello fearless gamers, and welcome back to another episode of the Joy of Painting Minis. And this episode is episode 3 in our project of Cypher the Fallen Angel. And so just a quick recap of what I did is I glued him to the base, and then I painted his robes with Zandri dust as a base. And we're now going to continue on from there using our next paint color, which is going to be a wash of Seraphim Sepia. Probably pronounced that horribly wrong because I do that all the time, as many followers of my old channel and this channel will know. So I'm going to take my wash brush and put some of the Sepia on it. And then going to give the model a nice wash. Trick with washes that I hate is they are, as I mentioned in the first episode, really tricky. You put them on too thick, then it's way too dark and your highlight color may not look so natural with it. Too light and it looks like you did nothing at all. And another big trick with it is getting it properly, evenly distributed across the model. I apologize. I am sorry. I'm going to do that a lot, and I am really sorry that that keeps happening on these videos. Like I said, the model's, too much, and the model is oversaturated, and too little, and again, even coats. You want to try as hard as you can to get an even coat of this wash, or else it's just not going to look right at all. And you don't want to apply it too thick because of that. So it's a trick of finding a nice balance. Like I find that his top half here is going to have a nicer blend of the wash than his bottom half, which also works because, again, top half should be a little lighter because because it's closer to my light source than the bottom half of them is. And so we're just gonna go over just a little bit more down here. Just to get that nice and coated before we move on to our next project. Again, trying to get this as even as possible. That way it comes out nice and clean looking. And just a tad bit more here. with this done, I can then move on to the next step, which is going to be prepping his holsters with their shade color. And probably got a little too greedy there. But there we go. So now he is coated. Let me just get there because it didn't really pool well around his holster. The chains there. Again, I am sorry. I keep doing that. It's probably going to be the theme of every episode that I'm on. Every session in which I'm doing the episode. I am sorry. Because half the model was not painted on camera. Okay, so I'm going to let this piece of him dry for now. That way, get all ready for the next part, which is going to be a layering effect on the whole thing. Just clean off my brush, let that dry. And so now we are going to go and paint the holsters. And we're going to use for that some scorched brown, some Rhinox hide, sorry. And gonna coat his pistols in this brown, his pistols holsters. Use a small brush, and people may notice, you guys may notice some on this is my one thing is that my brushes are horrible in terms of their maintenance, because I refuse to buy new ones until I absolutely have to. So the models painted near the end of a brush's life cycle suffer a lot because I'm very cheap. Well, I'm cheap and don't have a whole lot of cash. Mainly because I play this hobby and I spend it all on this. So because of that, I try and stretch the life of my brushes beyond the normal life expectancy of a brush. So there's gonna probably be many episodes where a lot of you guys are probably gonna go, why just change brushes? Oh, how could you paint a model with such a terrible looking brush? And it's true. There's some days even I go, wow, how am I painting with this thing? But like I said, this is how things shall be until I get into a better financial state. But so we're going to be painting these, and again, the trick with this, with painting any of these types of models with them, is first is decide, is like, if you're going to do, if you're going to paint in pieces, what I always like to do is I like to first just paint what needs to be painted. Like, for example, I know that his arms are going to be over these holsters. And I know that his backpack, whoops, is going right there on the, over those robes. So I sit there and go, okay, what stage of the, paint procedure do I need to go for? So I know that before I can put his arms on and it not affect the, miniature, the rest of the painting procedure. And so the answer to that one is it will not become a hassle until it'll be a hassle until until it's time for highlighting. So I paint up all of Cypher's model, or any of the model that I'm using, to the shade stage. So that way when I'm done, so that way when, so once I get all the shading, pieces done, that's when I move on to my next, part of the project, which would be the first layer, which is, you know, to make these colors function like their shades. So then, once these are done, and some of the chain bits here around his belt in the back there, once that's done, then I can put him aside, work on the other pieces that are going to require my attention, like the sword. It's probably going to be the next thing. And then I'll glue all of his pieces together, because that'll make highlighting him a lot easier, which we got the browns done. So we're going to take care of that. And clean off the brush. Clean off the brush. And I also use a brush cleaner, so I kind of justify in my head that I don't need to buy another brush, because I'm like, oh, I just clean it and it's going to be fine. Half the time it doesn't end up being fine, but so now we got all the brown on him that I need to be painted done, and so I'm going to do a quick dry fit to see how much, and he's probably going to be a pain in the butt to get some of that, yeah, it's going to be a pain in the butt to get in there on some of the gun pieces. So I'm going to prep the gun pieces now to the shade stage. That way they're all done in that regard, and the only thing that's left is going to be highlighting. So I'm going to get out my brown again, add a little more to my palette with a little more water, and going to now paint the gloves. Get him out of the way. And surprisingly, a lot of the times for me, I'm one of these painters where with the Space Marines, like with the Dark Angels, with something that has a set theme, I like going by the GW's presentation of it. So, like the glove thing, you know, it's been said that he's got leather gloves on, so it's like, okay, so I'm going to paint them brown, you know, make them a leathery color. I'm very big on following how they should appear via the fluff, which is why, like, I use my Eldar and my Sons of Horus army as, like, my creative forces, the forces that I can go a little bit off the beaten path with typical color schemes because they're made up. But like and I use my Dark Angels and my Mechanicum to give for a structured paint piece. So when I can't think of anything to really like, when the creative mind isn't going at full throttle, I can jump into a Dark Angel or a Thousand Sun model to give myself, you know, a structure. Oh, I need to paint it this way. It has to be painted this way. And then I don't have to think so much about the creative side of the hobby because it's kind of out there for me. I'm just following the instructions. And then when I feel really creative and really got the artistic juices flowing, then I jump in and paint like an Eldar model or something. That way I can be a little bit more creative and let the imagination soar, for lack of a better word. And one thing you want to try and do when you're painting like I am in pieces, you want to kind of very lightly hold the miniature, because the less of a grip you have, like I'm barely holding the miniature. Actually, I should probably hold it by the gun since that's not painted, or painted up officially. That way you don't peel off a lot of paint, if any at all, when working on the model. And if you happen to do, usually like on him, it's the bumps, the studs and such, and the rivets. So they're going to be getting a highlight color anyway, so it's not like the paint job was 100% ruined by that. It's something that's easily fixed without having to start back at stage 1 again. I can fix it when I get to the highlight stage. And a little more water. And one thing I'm gonna say that a lot when I start a new subject. Something that I'm gonna talk about real quick is the new paper palettes that they have. I do not like the new paper palettes. I prefer the tray palettes, mainly because I don't have good luck with mixing on paper. I don't care how specially designed and formulated it is. It's just a towel, a paper towel. You know, I could just go to a Walmart or a Target and buy a roll of Bounty and get the same effect as those paper products. And I mentioned it once to the vet. I'm the vet. I mentioned it once to Matt the Clown, and he was saying how he used a paper palette once, and he says he doesn't like them at all. You know, it's just like it just doesn't work well. And it's primarily, you know, like said in the post in the podcast that we were doing when they were announced. It feels like, you know, they discovered that no one was buying any more pallets because you buy them once, you take care of them, they'll last you forever. So they needed a new fast way to keep you coming back to purchasing more and more products. So I felt it was very much a cash grab, and I'm not a fan of that. Okay, so we painted the brown on the gloves. And what I'm going to do from here on is I'm actually going to glue one arm on, do whatever work that I need to do on that one, and then glue the other one on, and continue from there, because it'll be a lot easier. And I think I'm going to start with the bolter, because the bolt pistol is going to be a lot quicker, in my opinion, than the plasma pistol. So I'm going to get that and glue that arm on. Trick is getting it where he keeps his arm on and his gun is level, so it doesn't look like he's firing wildly into the air. Okay, there we go. So just let that dry for a little bit. And boom. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to first paint the chamber of this, the casing. Actually, what will I do first? Yeah, I'm going to paint the casing, which I'm going to paint it red, because I kind of like old school. I kind of like the whole, since he is supposed to be a fallen angel, I feel that his gear would match that of the Dark Angel's gear. So I'm going to keep it as I would paint a Dark Angel piece. So I'm going to take some of my dark red here, water it down, just to get it a little nicer. And then I'm going to start painting the casing of this bolter. What I'm probably going to do differently from regular Dark Angel stuff that I normally do is I'm probably not going to make this a bright red. I'm probably going to keep this a very dark red to kind of give it more of a older look. So gonna probably just stray a little bit from the formula, but not too much from the formula. And one thing, again, something else that I'm gonna mention briefly is in one of our videos that we talked about, I'm pretty sure we mentioned in the video, is the wild card complained that Cypher can use his pistols in close combat, and so everyone else should be able to. And I full-heartedly disagree with that, because then what does Cypher have? You know, if everyone can do what that would be like, you know, oh, I think all armies that have Terminator, all HQs that have Terminator armor should allow Terminators as troop choices. So if all of them could do it, then the very few that can do it lose a little bit of their charm and what makes them unique, because then what's the point of having... So if everyone can fire pistols in the close combat, then what's the point of Cypher being able to do it? Why not just take a Chaos Champion, you say, and load him out with 2 pistols? Then, bam, you got Cypher without any of the drawback type of thing, and it probably costs less. So I think that I like the uniqueness of Cypher being the only one that can use his pistols in close combat, but I do agree that some of his stats are a little weird, because the only thing that challenges him in initiative, in ballistic skill, weapon skill, is the frickin' avatar of Cain. And Abaddon and Cain, I believe, are and the Avatar are the only models that go before him in close combat. And it's like, how is he that fast that only a deity and the, for lack of a better word, and the chosen, supposedly clone of a Primarch are the only thing that are slightly faster than him? And how could he have a ballistic skill higher than a Vindicare assassin, a dude who are essentially like the Jedi of snipers, where the minute they were born, a rifle was put in his hand and they were forced to go to the shooting range, and they weren't allowed to leave until they were able to hit the center target. And he's supposed to be a better shot than those guys. And or even like, you know, an Eldar. Eldar from naturally are written fluff-wise as being, from their first day, they're from birth type of thing, they have a better keen sense of vision, and so they kind of have the performance. They could, without ever for the first time picking up a rifle, they could shoot as well as a trained Imperial Guard sniper. And yet, this guy can outshoot them, even though they just by nature should be superior to all humans in that regard. Again, don't take this wrong, that I think, he shouldn't be better than half the stuff I have in my army. I don't agree with that, I think he should be a little bit better in some cases, but there are some aspects that I think that he's a little too good at, and that's what I'm saying. That's the part I don't like, is I think they made him a little too good in areas that others should be better than him. And their reasoning was because of reasons. Okay. Alrighty, looking at my stopwatch, it looks like we're just about out of time. So we're going to end this video here. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet saying, take care.